Imagine a young woman battling darkness, not just the darkness of illness or despair, but something far more unknowable. The true story of Anneliese Michel, the inspiration behind the chilling film The Exorcism of Emily Rose, is one that still haunts the world today. It's a tale of belief, agony, and unanswered questions. A story that forces us to confront the limits of faith, science, and our own understanding of what lies beyond. In the 1960s, Anneliese Michel was just a regular young girl growing up in Labelfing, Bavaria, Germany. By all accounts, her childhood was relatively ordinary. Raised in a devout Catholic household, her faith was central to her upbringing. She was bright, spirited, and described by those who knew her as deeply kind. But as she entered her teenage years, her life took a harrowing turn. At 16, Anneliese experienced her first seizure, a seizure doctors later diagnosed as epilepsy. It was the beginning of years filled with medical consultations, hospital stays, and treatments. Her epilepsy progressed, and she was soon diagnosed with depression, a diagnosis that came hand in hand with antidepressants and other medications. But despite persistent treatments, nothing seemed to help. Instead, her suffering worsened, marked not only by physical episodes, but by tormenting visions, terrifying manifestations, and voices that she said spoke to her from the shadows. By the time she turned 20, Anneliese was convinced her condition was not merely medical. She believed she had been possessed by demonic forces. She described seeing grotesque faces leering at her, hearing cruel voices mocking her faith, and whispering unspeakable horrors. Her family grew desperate as her behavior became increasingly alarming. By 1973, she began to speak in voices that weren't hers, lash out violently, and refuse food or sustenance. Her physical appearance became increasingly frail, her eyes sunken, her body weak, and yet her anguish was overpowering. For her deeply religious family, modern medicine had failed. They turned to the church, where they found priests who believed in her plight. Among them were Father Arnold Renz and Pastor Ernst Out, clergymen who saw in Anneliese the signs of possession outlined in centuries-old Roman Catholic teachings. Speaking in foreign tongues, unnatural strength, and an aversion to holy relics such as crucifixes and holy water. After much deliberation and approval from higher church authorities, the priests began the ritual of exorcism, a practice that had become extraordinarily rare in modern times. Over 10 months between September 1975 and June 1976, Anneliese Michel endured a grueling 67 exorcism sessions. These sessions were harrowing and relentless, sometimes lasting several hours, during which she would writhe, scream, contort her body unnaturally, and shout profanities or blasphemous remarks. The priests believed she was possessed by not one spirit, but many. According to their testimonies, later revealed during the trial, Anneliese claimed to host demons such as Lucifer, Cain, Judas Iscariot, Nero, and even Adolf Hitler. Each voice had its own distinct tone, mannerisms, and personality. Her family and the priests claimed to have witnessed phenomena that defied explanation. Her ability to speak languages she had never studied, her refusal to consume food despite immense physical exhaustion, and the unbearable reaction she had toward holy objects. But as time stretched on, Anneliese's condition only deteriorated. She grew thinner, weaker, and increasingly gaunt. Her body seemed to be wasting away under the strain of her suffering, and by the final session she could barely function on her own. On July 1st, 1976, Anneliese Michel passed away. She was just 23 years old. The official cause of her death was determined to be malnutrition and dehydration. By the time of her passing, she weighed a mere 68 pounds. Her death was devastating to her family and sparked intense scrutiny from both local authorities and the public. Questions swirled in the aftermath. Had Anneliese been failed by the medical system? Had the exorcisms been a desperate but misguided attempt to save her? Or was there something darker at play? Something that mortal minds simply couldn't comprehend? It was these questions that led to one of the most infamous trials in German legal history. In 1978, her parents and the two priests were charged with negligent homicide. The trial was a media spectacle, drawing attention from around the world. Experts testified on both sides. Medical specialists argued that Anneliese had suffered from epilepsy and mental illness, compounded by religious delusions that were not addressed through appropriate treatment. They claimed her visions and voices were the result of severe psychosis. On the other side, religious figures defended the exorcisms, asserting that Anneliese herself had begged for the rituals, believing that demonic forces were consuming her soul. The defense presented audio recordings from the sessions, which captured her guttural screams, inhuman voices, and chilling declarations. In these tapes, Anneliese could be heard uttering shocking phrases in unfamiliar languages, growling in tones far removed from her own voice, and reacting violently to prayers in ways that defied normal behavior. Ultimately, the court ruled against the parents and priests, asserting that they had failed to get her the medical help she needed. They were convicted of manslaughter resulting from negligence and sentenced to 6 months in prison, later suspended with 3 years of probation. But the trial left more than a legal legacy. It solidified Anneliese Michel's story as one of the most haunting and polarizing cases in modern history. To this day, the debate rages on. Was this a tragic case of untreated mental illness, exacerbated by fervent religious belief? Or was Anneliese truly a victim of forces beyond human understanding, forces that few of us dare to imagine? Her grave in Klingenberg has become a place of pilgrimage for those who believe Anneliese was touched by something supernatural. Visitors leave flowers, prayers, and placards, honoring her suffering and searching for answers. Her story has inspired countless books, documentaries, and films, including The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which fictionalized her harrowing ordeal and brought her story to a new generation. Though the film takes creative liberties, its core message remains the same: the chilling collision between faith, science, and the unknown. It leaves us wondering, how much do we truly understand about the human mind and spirit? And when faced with the incomprehensible, where should we turn? To medicine, to faith, or to something else entirely? Anneliese Michel's story isn't just a tragic tale of a young woman who lost her life. It's a mirror reflecting our deepest fears, our most profound beliefs, and our desperate yearning to make sense of the inexplicable. Whether one believes in possession or not, her suffering forces us to confront a world of mysteries we may never fully solve. And perhaps that's the most haunting part of all.